Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. So, my wife and I were talking about Taylor Swift. She had seen these posts about her on Reddit and how she's, you know, there's just all these things about her being evil. There's this rumor about her being Anton Lavey's, the Grand Pupa, the president or whatever of the Church of Satan. Her look-alike to his daughter, possibly his granddaughter, and all these other things about her that always exist in the truth community. But there are things that are provable. Like there's things that just, could be true that, are, there's some evidence that backs these things. And then there are things that we know about her as a horrible person and like a cult leader and the Swifties, the, the dimwitties and being a cult leader and also being just a bad person. And those things are tangible and provable. So let me just go through this stuff here. And so this is from IMBD. It's a lookalikes, this guy, Anton Lavey. They covered it here on Huffington Post. Kind of not so much, almost sort of mocking the people who believe it. But here's the evidence. This is Anton Lavey's granddaughter and Taylor Swift. You just for this picture say, oh, it looks kind of like Taylor Swift here. So Taylor Swift looks like Anton Lavey's daughter. And here she is here, Anton Lavey's daughter with devil's horns. Taylor Swift, and they have very similar bone feature. But Taylor Swift is not a unique looking person because she also looks, here she is here, as a Satanist in her previous life. Zena Lavey, she also looks like Napoleon Dynamite. And so there's that aspect of this thing here. So is Napoleon Dynamite also a Satanist? Or a lot of people look like Taylor Swift. She has those like cat eyes. Taylor Swift lookalikes are everywhere. And so that might be true. Like it's possible. But, with the truth community and people on the internet, they always want sensationalistic things. And this is sensationalistic. The whole Taylor Swift being, a Satanist. She may or may not be a Satanist. She may or may not be related to Anton Lavey. But we do know she's a bad person, and I'll get into that in a bit. Somebody who is like, the things I'm going to talk about are being a poser and victim consciousness. Both things that Taylor Swift represents to her cult followers. Now, this is something from Vigilant Citizen I read years ago. This was the 2009 MTV Music Awards, Video Music Awards. This is the time that Kanye West snatched the microphone from Taylor Swift. And Vigilant Citizen, who is a person claiming to be in the record industry and talks about these Illuminati and occult rituals, says that this thing was like some kind of a Illuminati Freemasonic ritual. It starts off with Madonna doing a sort of tribute to Michael Jackson, even though they weren't friends or close. And she got up as the high priestess, words of wisdom, something you can read from. She's she's a part of the Kabbalah kind of things here. And then there's the Taylor Swift initiation, and he talks about how she was wearing white, and Kanye came out and snatched the mic from her, and then Jack Black gets up, and he gets everyone to hold up the devil's horns and do a prayer to Satan. You can see that.
Who wants to pray to the devil with me? Who's in with me? Come on, hey.
So he wants, he comes out and says he wants to pray to the devil.
Let me see those horns. Let me see those horns. Metal.
He gets the audience to hold up devil's horns.
Metal. Metal.
And then he's going to say a prayer to Satan here.
Dear Dark Lord Satan, hope everything's good with you.
So that's So that happened. A prayer to the devil. The next thing was the blood sacrifice, and this is Lady Gaga. She's singing some kind of thing with blood all over her. You know, this is in her having this satanic kind of Gaga moment, and this dude's dancing behind her. Um, and the thing, there's the pillars, the Boaz and Joachim, the pillars of the Freemasonic pillars that are in every Freemasonic temple. Of course, the red color was a big theme here. Um, and she gets covered in blood in the end here. They hoist her up on this, this thing here with her being bloody and all these things. And so, it's not nothing, right? I mean, there's definitely ritualistic aspects to this thing. And then, so there's the pillars there, all the things there. Guy points out her doing this thing. And then I guess is this the one she came out covered in meat as well? And then there's Pink, who came out with the Freemasonic. This is the outfit. I don't know if he has a picture here. This guy here. So when they do the Freemasonic ritual, you come in, they put this in this outfit that's like never washed, and it one leg and one arm exposed, and your left breast is exposed. And you put on a blindfold, and you go in this kind of a humiliation ritual, wearing these dirty clothes as you come into and she's wearing, she's got the pants have the Freemasonic pattern on them. She's wearing a blindfold, the whole thing. And so, like, that's, initiation ritual type of thing. And then she was, originally dressed in white for Taylor Swift when she came out, right, as a newbie, as an initiate. And then at the end of it, she is she's dressed in red as Beyonce, who's sort of the queen of this thing, gives her time to come up and give her speech as her sort of after her humiliation, the whole kind of thing. And so, I believe that is more than likely true, to whatever extent they pull this kind of stuff at MTV. But it is what it is. Not really provable. You tell people about it, and like people are, sheeple or whatever it is. But it's there, right? It's something. The other thing is Taylor Swift's ex-boyfriends. Now, I cover celebrities on my YouTube channel, but I have no interest in them, like on a personal level. I only look at celebrity culture when I cover that here, when I make videos about it. And so I have done very few videos of Taylor Swift. I've talked about her victim consciousness and her posing, the stuff with the football, which we'll get into. And years ago, I made a few videos here and there. Maybe some Illuminati stuff when I used to cover that. But I have no interest in her love life, and I know about it. Now, I do look at celebrity stuff in Page 6 on a daily basis, but she has had an endless string of boyfriends. Many of them are famous people here. Tom Hiddleston, I knew about. Harry Styles, Calvin Harris, Connor Kennedy, Jake Gyllenhaal, Adam Young, not an ex, John Mayer, Taylor Lautner, Joe Jonas, some of these other people. And she's had 15 of these guys. And now, of course, Travis Kelce. Here are some of these guys here. She's 34 years old. And some of these relationships, I think, were like maybe over a year. And so this is an endless stream of celebrity boyfriends who she breaks up with and then makes an album about and trashes them in some way to be a victim. And, it's a, pattern of behavior, right? There's all these people here that are listed somehow connected to her. I'm not sure how, but this is a big part of who she is. Unable to sustain a relationship, and then slamming the guys after after they've broken up with her. So her most recent guy is Travis Kelce. And if you watch football, and I saw a number of Kansas City Chief games, she became a feature of the NFL, trying to recruit as many Swifties as possible. Of course, the Kansas City Chiefs won a Super Bowl this year, and you could say there was things out there that made it look like they were rigged. And she was seen posing at these games. Like she knew every time there was a timeout, potentially, there she is with Travis Kelce's mom, she was going to be caught on camera. And she's really renowned for doing these poses. There she is with Brittany Holmes, and that duo of like horrible women there. And she's always there posing and doing things. So when the camera catches her, she's going to be talked about. Like it's a constant thing that she does. She's just a poser. And you just see there's all these things. And again, they kept on cutting away to her. And the whole thing with all of it, the arc of the relationship, and then, all the other aspects of it. And she's just somebody always constantly posing. Everything she does is to do these types of, to be caught in poses, right? I'm sure she does this throughout her show. She's just, one of the biggest posers on multiple levels. I'll come back to that as I go into my voiceover. My last thing that, was my wife was telling me that Taylor Swift releases these variants, and I've heard about this. I've heard the term variant. I wasn't even sure what it was, which is just additional versions of the True Poet department, the Tortured Poets department. Again, the tortured aspect being her being a victim and the victim consciousness, which we'll cover in a moment. But when other artists release albums, Taylor Swift would release a variant, so she would stay on number one and minimize their chance of, gaining the spotlight, which is a complete dick move, but classic kind of stuff that she would do. And, shows her as a bad person. Taylor Swift's antics against Charlie XCX show her insecurities. And, all the ways that she, we'll get into this. We'll get into it as I switch over to a voiceover here. Okay, so when you become a fan of somebody, and if you think about some person, I mean, if you connect with a celebrity or a politician or somebody famous like this, and your world revolves around them, like it could be a TV show, like you join a club, a fan club, and you're part of a group of people who the centerpiece of that, your relationship is based in a celebrity, right? It's a bad thing, right? Because the celebrities are horrible people. Like just their very nature of needing to be fed by, the crowd, being fed by external stimuli, right? People who ascend to a higher level, a spiritual level, people who are worth emulating, get sustained from within. They connect to the divinity within inside of them, and not an egotistical way, is minimized, and they end up serving a higher power. They end up serving God and other people through this, evolution of their soul being pulled forward. But celebrities are the exact opposite. And, with the world being the way it is on the internet, celebrity culture is now for everybody because you can become internet famous. And fame is, something that is regarded highly in our culture, and doesn't make things better. I've had limited, I don't know what you would call it, fame as a successful YouTuber or whatever it is, and get lots of external approval. Thousands of views on my videos, millions of views on my videos, hundreds of millions of views on my videos, and so many thumbs up and positive comments and, likes and things that you get on social media. And maybe in the beginning it felt good, it was a good thing, but now it's just whatever it is, right? It's good that my work is, has some positive, people who enjoy my work. That's always good. But it doesn't make you feel like, if you feel like a piece of shit, going and getting a bunch of likes or thumbs ups isn't going to make you feel better. If you're not happy with yourself, if you're not happy with your, you feel guilty about something, you feel bad about something, or you feel insecure, or you feel whatever it is, getting lots of thumbs up and likes and hearts and whatever it is on the internet, positive feedback from strangers doesn't fill that void. Like if you feel like a bad person, For most people, it doesn't fill that void. But for some people, I heard Madonna years and years ago. I have it on one of my older videos. I went and found the clip. And she was talking about, she was on Oprah Winfrey, and talking about needing to be fed, like needing to receive from the crowd. She is somebody who hasn't been able to just go off into the sunset and, enjoy her wealth and her previous fame. Will Smith is another person. Some people who, were at the highest levels of celebrity culture. They were number one celebrity in various categories and talked about constantly. And then with anything, their career arc fades. And this is why I call Madonna Madam Expiration Date, because she can't accept like just becoming an old person. She's dating 26-year-olds and still trying to have concerts and go out there with her, all of her body parts sagging and things like this. So she's a disaster. And so people who need to be fed by like a group of people who are feeding off of a group of people to sustain their energy level, are bad people on the inside, right? The bigger the front, the bigger the back. Something that's inside of them is lacking. And so they need external validation because they can't fix what's inside of them. They can't, generate enough positive feelings and enough, joy and happiness. So they have to suck energy off of other people, a crowd, and in relationships. And Taylor Swift is like the epitome of this, right? So let's talk about her as a poser. She needs external validation, and she needs as much attention as possible. And she needs to be, told and loved by the world. She's one of these people that has the positive narrative. Like she's known as somebody who's, good to her fans and all these things. I mean, the stuff that she's created. To have this image or brand, Tom Hanks had this brand. Will Smith had this brand, and Ellen DeGeneres had this brand of being one of the good people, one of the nice people, right? Even though there's nothing nice about her if you look into what she does. Somebody who's, politically correct and pushing things like climate change, chastising you for climate change, and then flying her private jet extraordinarily around. I mean, ways that seem like over the top, 2 private jets. And then, they pass a law, some kind of a law, I covered this recently, where they can't track people's private jets because they don't want to be caught out as a hypocrite, right? Now, if she believes in climate change and she actually believes in it, that's great for her, whatever. I mean, I'm against pollution, right? I don't believe in the climate change narrative per se as it's presented to us by the powers that be. But if she wants to reduce her footprint, like we all are polluters, then do that, right? But if you're going to preach to other people and then you're going to indulge in private jets and whatever else there is, right? Bill Gates and these other people, you're preaching one thing, but you're not reducing your footprint. You have a large footprint, multiple houses, big houses that are unnecessarily big, where you're, using up more than your fair share of resources and absorbing these things from planet Earth, and then, telling your people to, be, frugal and be aware of their footprint in these things. And so there's the posing aspect. You're presenting one thing on the outside for approval. You're something else on the inside, right? There was speculation that Taylor Swift, and this wasn't just from like truthers, this was from mainstream media, that when Taylor Swift first started to date Travis Kelce, he was, the Kansas City Chiefs was playing the New York Jets, I believe in New York. And so she went to that game, and before that, when you search Taylor Swift and Jets, there would be her, private plane. There would be articles about her hypocrisy. But now when you search Taylor Swift and Jets, it would come up the Jets game that she attended. And so they effectively squashed that narrative of the private plane by her attending a Jets football game and making it a big deal. And they made that one a big deal. Like the game, I think, was on Monday night. It was a whole thing. But whatever it was, it effectively, her publicity team killed a negative narrative about her when she was having this, this epic concert tour that her cult followers were indulging in. But that, also brings us to her boyfriends, right? So this element of posing where, she's, what is it, 34 years old, 32 years old, whatever I said. If she was a down-to-earth woman, like a normal person, she could easily get married, right? Like if she wanted to get married, she could easily get married. She could find millions of different guys that would marry her, right? She could even find a celebrity that would marry her. So this would be, an easy task. Marriage is a hard thing nowadays. Half the marriages end in divorce, but half the marriages are, don't end in divorce. And there are successful marriages out there. And there are women who can, who want to be married, who are good wives and good mothers, and they hold the family together, right? But not celebrity women. You have these various variants of these women who are looked up to. Kim Kardashian, that Taylor Swift had a, just shit on recently with a song because of the Kanye West feud thing, whatever happened. Kim Kardashian is perpetually single, and she represents these Babylonian hoes, Nicki Minaj and Cardi B, and these, women who are using, plastic surgery and silicone, and they look like human Bratz dolls, and they're really stupid and, really superficial. And they, for the most part, are single. And young women and, little girls watch these shows and look up to these. These are their idols. These are the people that they emulate, right? Going back to this cult mentality. And so you have these groups of people who are really, the fans, the fanatics, the cult followers of these various celebrities, right? And when you have heroes and idols and people that you worship that are, horrible people, it affects the decisions because you want to be like them. These young women want to be like them. And so it's women who are, living their lives by, faking and posing. I think the Kardashians is a good example of posing, constantly posing and, trying to be something you're not, creating these false brands and being very superficial, right? And living your life out in the public in some way. Now, celebrities, for the most part, are horrible people because of all the things I've said, right? They are, under the delusion that fame and wealth and fame and fortune and selling your soul in one way or another to the music industry or Hollywood or wherever it is, an okay trade-off for something that leaves you being a hollow shell of a person and clearly isn't making people better. Wealth and fame and fortune don't make people better. And so they have these fake celebrity marriages, which has been going on for a very long time. Fake celebrity relationships and marriages that both celebrities use it to boost their, their profile. I mean, celebrities are always looking for ways to be talked about, ways to be, brought out and given more fame and given more, whatever it might be. They have these, like rap battles and feuds and things. Taylor Swift gets into that. Taylor Swift has her feuds with people. She has her celebrity relationships and breakups, all things that make you talk about her. They constantly want to be talked about and be, thought about by people. Somebody who wants to constant attention, right? Taylor Swift could find some compatible guy. She has, doesn't ever have to worry about money or finances, which is always the number one stressor in a modern day relationship. And she could have some guy who's supportive to her. If you're a celebrity, marrying another celebrity is like a recipe for disaster because you're, these two vampirish, ghoul, life-sucking people that need to be constantly the center of attention. And so the celebrities are always going to compete with each other. It's the worst type of person to get married to because they're both attention whores and, it just doesn't work out. So Taylor Swift could marry some, normal guy. There's celebrities that do this, right? How many celebrities out there that are married and have families that you don't even know the name of their spouse, right? That they have, they protect that aspect of their life and, the culture is not as big a deal for them. They get married, they have kids, and they have successful marriages, right? It's easy to do if you aren't looking for publicity, and you aren't looking for something else, right? But she dates these famous guys one after the other, a parade of them. And each one of those relationships then become like this, something from Teen Magazine or Tiger Beat or whatever the hell they call those things, when I grew up. And these things that, People Magazine or whatever it is. So that, and of course now the internet, which is, a whole thing in itself. And she can do her posing and have her attention and be the spotlight, like she just dominated the NFL. Like she wanted, like being the number one music artist and having the biggest concert in history or whatever it is. Being the number one, one of the top celebrities. And that wasn't enough. She wanted to also have football, right? You see this like recently in the NBA Finals, where the two teams, the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics, of course, the Boston Celtics and the Lakers have had rivalry, and the Boston Celtics were just going to pass the Lakers for the number of NBA championships. And the Lakers decide to hire a coach and fire a coach during that period of time, and so that they could be talked about, so that the Lakers would be talked about why these other two teams are competing for the championship. There's all this pettiness in, this type of fame and fortune. Like people with, famous people are petty and will do anything for, a moment in the spotlight, another moment in the spotlight. And Taylor Swift, for her, that's been these relationships. Relationships doomed to failure. You should always realize that the celebrity relationships are going nowhere fast, right? That they're doomed because of everything I just said. And they're not real. Like they have their managers and handlers work out the details, and they're all performative and posing and things like this. And so she has these relationships that are doomed to fail. At the end of a relationship, she's going to act like a victim and then write these songs about her previous lovers or people have wronged her in one way or another. And her fans eat it up. She did this about Kim Kardashian, who lost 100,000 followers the day that the song was released. She put Kim's name, she put whatever the name of the song was, she spelled out the name Kim in capitals, and the rest of the letters in the song were, were small, lowercase. And so it was clear she was talking about Kim Kardashian. And, this whole thing, like just pettiness and, something that happened years and years ago. And, after 15 of these relationships and being 34 years old, she had a song where she said, "It's me. It's that I'm the problem. It's me," which, was a good mission for her, but something that she just flirted with in a song. It's clearly her, right? I mean, the rest of these celebrity guys or whatever she dates are, horrible people as well. But it's her. Like she has a pattern of behavior and she acts like a victim. And constantly acts like a victim. This thing with Scooter Braun, who bought her, her original, whatever it was, their master copies of her music. And he had once, said things about her. People have slighted her in some way. The whole thing with Kanye and all the way up where she acts like a victim, which is the worst thing that she does, because victim consciousness, I talk about this all the time, is so prevalent in our society. And acting like a victim, being victimized and constantly saying that she's been wronged in her music and in her, her social media profile and her, fans coming to her side and attacking people and going after people online because they've somehow, wronged Taylor Swift, who's just this nice, innocent girl with a, great personality, who's not evil and selfish and petty and, all the things that celebrities are. And she clearly is. I mean, she's just a horrible person. And the victim consciousness is, the worst thing, because it is, in a sense, a form of devil worship. And I talk about this, quite a bit, where, people who believe in God believe that there's a plan. I talk about the Sanskrit word samskaras, which is these impressions that you have, that you carry from life to life. Addictions could be something, right? If you were an addict in a past life and you haven't mastered that, if you died an addict, then you have that samskara you bring into your next life. Patterns of behavior. It's what you take from life to life, right? And this idea of, these tendencies that you have to overcome, things that you have to graduate from. And so you have miseries, you have difficulties that arise from your samskaric makeup, these things that you you bring into your existence. And when you overcome those things as a spiritual person, you look at these problems and these miseries as divine blessings, right? Because they're things that your soul, things that if there's a God, then God, there's a plan, right? The difference between believing in a God and believing in so-called science, the modern day science, where there's a chaos theory, where everything's chaotic, everything's random, and there's no soul, there's no, is there a soul that animates your existence? And most people believe in a soul because, there is one, right? When I saw my grandfather dead when I was 10 years old, and I looked at him, and, he was this tough guy, fought in a couple world wars, was a fireman, professional football player, and they slapped him lipstick on him, right? But I just looked at his corpse, and I said, that's not him. His body wasn't him. Your body isn't you. It's the essence that the person has, their energy, that, you can feel their energy when you're around them. And no matter, how much you try to cover it up as a celebrity, because most celebrities have bad energy, like they have, maybe in the beginning they had something, they had some, part of them that was, creative and, they giving energy. There's people that radiate love. There's people who radiate kindness, the essence of their soul. But then there are people who, they're soul-sucking vampires. And all celebrities, all politicians, all people who end up pursuing those types of pursuits, those works, those roles, end up being soul-sucking, ghoulish vampires who suck the energy off of other people and, hurt other people, right? They're just constantly hurting other people. And so when you have victim consciousness, perpetual victim consciousness, you're denying that there's a plan, right? You're denying that there's some kind of, that there's something at the basis of everything that's happening. There's this quote I often read: the victim stance is a powerful one. The victim is always morally right, neither responsible nor accountable, and forever entitled to sympathy. And when I worked as a counselor, I have a master's degree in counseling, and I worked for a number of years in treatment centers. And there was, the treatment centers were for teenage sex offenders. And the assault cycle, this was a pattern of behavior that they would go through with these various stages. And all these stages were fueled by a victim stance or a victim statement. These were kids who were usually sexually abused and then in turn abused other people. But you could talk about any kind of person that's like a hateful person, a negative person, or people who just, every once in a while go into a, some sort of a depressed, self-pitying time period. A victim, they go into a victim cycle. And at the center of it, of course, is a victim statement, poor me. And it is where a person, a predator or, criminal or just a negative person gives themselves permission to do bad things because they've been hurt in the past, they've been wronged somehow, and because they're a victim, they get to hurt other people and they get to engage in bad behaviors, and their behaviors are completely excusable because they're a victim. And this is Taylor Swift's, her classic, her victim stance, her, what she does as a person. She's constantly in a victim cycle where she's, gives a victim statement and then she writes a song or she produces content based in that victimization and plays it out in front of the media and everybody else as some, like she should be forever entitled to sympathy despite her behavior. And she's, putting out this example for her young cult followers, right? Because, as young women, how many good women out there in the celebrity culture or anywhere else that are good examples of being a positive role model? Because at the center of every, whatever it is, the center of every, person's life, there's their life's work. And the essential life's work for a woman is going to be motherhood, even though it's minimized by our society. Because more people, like even though people suck right now and we're in a downward spiral, the proliferation of your species, the mother is pretty much the most important role, right? The motherhood, motherhood in any species in terms of being able to produce more of the, offspring and nurture them in many cases. Many different animals, mammals nurture their offspring. And the offspring feel loved and, have affection from their mom and feel protected and things like this, right? And certainly in the human condition. And, the psychological benefits it is to have a positive mother, a mother who's connected to God, a mother who's connected to nature, a mother who embraces, her higher nature, is selfless and sacrifices for her children. Those children end up being much better off in every possible way. Certainly having a dad there as well is important, but the role of the mother is even more important. And it's completely minimized in our society. You can find the term just a mom. Like, women have to be a mom plus something else. And being a mom is a hard enough job as it is, but also have to, do work and, full-time jobs and these other things, have a career and be successful, and then, be people who are celebrated on, some kind of social media app and being fed and being whatever it is, right? Posing for those things and, needing some narcissistic, fuel. Because most women don't have it in them to just be a mom, to be a good mom, because that comes from it being internally fed and having enough love in their system to be able to love their spouses and love their kids and, be a beacon of love, the centerpiece of the family. And so that's, the best model for a successful society is women being supported in that role as like the Lakshmi of the family, an Indian term, the divine mother who's there, and the whole family revolves around the mother's love, right? And so it's, essential. And finding a good woman who's capable of loving and things like this for a man is a, true blessing, and then the kids and everybody benefits from it, right? Where the woman's connected to God and nature and receives sustenance from within, is able to sustain this role through that, process, right? And so these, celebrity Babylonian hoes that are out there as examples for young women, and then all the instagools and these, all it's about superficiality and appearance and, being like, whatever it is, like some kind of supermodel or instagool model or whatever, these various levels of that, being some sort of trophy wife or whatever they are, this kind of model that young women are growing up with the Kardashians and the brats, these human brat dolls and all these other things. And then there's the Taylor Swifts and, the Lady Gagas and the Katy Perrys and the Madonnas, and then, an opposite, kind of a similar version to this, that there's a musical talent that is eclipsed by the demonic rituals and attention-seeking behaviors. Madonna did this in the beginning, where she would do things that were outrageous. She wasn't a really good singer or dancer, but she would do things that would cause attention, cause controversy, and she was constantly sucking up the energy in the headlines. And then all these other artists followed, these female artists followed, doing dramatic things and being at the center of, demonic rituals or whatever it might be that they put up there that were controversial, right? Taking controversial stances and saying things to, it's all about look at me. Everybody look at me, right? Don't look over there, look at me. Don't look at her, look at me, right? And that, is a Taylor Swift mantra. And this is all stuff we see playing out on a daily basis, right? This is, Taylor Swift, like this is her, what she is as a person. And so, yeah, maybe she's Anton Lavey's granddaughter. Maybe she does satanic rituals. Who knows what she does in her private, behind closed doors. I mean, you see this with these celebrities. They engage in these eyes wide shut type of parties and all this stuff, right? So who knows what she, is or believes or what she worships or what she's into. But the stuff we do know is bad enough. Like, it doesn't have to be something sensational, some Illuminati stuff, some whatever it is. It has to do with, it has to be something else, right? Like, she's just a bad person and a bad example for her followers. And she's living a superficial, ghoulish, vampirish life where she's sucking energy off of her collective and, being what she is on the inside. What is she on the inside? And it's not good. And the example that she sets for young women and, a whole generation of people, and she's like maybe the number one celebrity right now, and all the posing and all the victim consciousness and things swirl around to make a very bad person. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely reporting for the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.